Hi people, how are you? Today we are going to work with Unit 3, Part A. In this unit we are going to see present simple, affirmative and negative form. Remember that this is a tense that you saw last year, but we are going to work this year again, okay? And we are going to see verb phrases and the pronunciation of the third person in this tense, okay? The ending, the different pronunciations for the ending for the third person singular, okay? So in the first part we are going to work with vocabulary, okay? So what you have to do is to complete the phrases with a verb from the list. So you have different verbs in the list and phrases which complete a phrase. So match the verbs to the phrases or words, yes? When you finish that, you have to go to page 153, okay? Let's go to page 153 from the vocabulary bank, the green part, and let's do this part. So, verb phrases. Well, in the list you have verbs, and in pictures you have words or phrases that complete verb phrases with the verbs in the list. For example, number 1, live in a flat. Okay, so you have to do the same with the rest of the verbs in the list and the pictures on the right, okay? For example, the verb do and the verb play have to be used twice, okay? Well, then you have to listen and check. Something important is what says here in the box. Work has two meanings. On the one side, it is to talk about job, okay? For example, she works in a museum. And on the other hand, it is also used to say that something is broken. For example, the phone doesn't work, okay? It doesn't function, it is broken, okay? And then the verb have or eat. Have can be used with both food and drink, and it's common with meals. For example, have a sandwich, have a coffee, have lunch, okay? But eat can only be used with food. For example, eat fast food, okay? Very good. Well, let's go back to the student's book, page 21, I think. Okay, and then you are going to listen a word and you have to say the complete phrase. For example, TV, watch TV, okay? Then let's do the grammar part, okay? You have to read this text and you have to answer the question, okay? You have to pay attention to the highlighted words, the highlighted verbs. When or why do some verbs end in S? Okay, so you have to answer that question yourself. Then you have to write the he, she, or it form of the verbs in the box. Okay, how do we form the third person singular of those verbs? Okay. Then you have to find two negative verbs in the text and you have to say how are they different from positive verbs for he, she, or it, and for all the other pronouns, okay? When you finish that, go to the grammar bank part, okay? Grammar part bank 12b, that is 3a on page 128. Let's go. Here. So you have the theory. We use the present simple for things that are generally true or that habitually happen. That is to say, routines, daily habits, daily actions, okay? Remember that for negative, we use don't, that is the contracted form of do not, and doesn't, that is the contracted form for does not, okay? To make negatives, we use don't or doesn't, and the verb is in infinitive. We use do or in the interrogative form or in the negative form, don't, and doesn't or does in the interrogative form, depending on the subject, okay? Don't or do are used with I, you, we, and they, and doesn't with he, she, or it, okay? And then you have the spelling rules, but you have to go back to 2a on page 126 to revise that, okay? When you finish reading the theory, you have to do the activities on the next page, okay? In activity A, you have to change the sentences. For example, my mom drinks tea, I drink tea. I go to the cinema, she to the cinema. We live in a flat, he in a flat, okay? And then in activity B, you have to complete the sentences according they are affirmative or negative with a verb from the list, okay? So when you finish that, go back to page 20 again and continue. Yes? Well, pronunciation. Here you are going to practice the different sounds for the ending in the third person singular, okay? So for example, you have the s ending, the z ending, and the is ending, okay? She speaks Spanish. He drinks coffee. She cooks every day. That is the s ending. But then you have the z ending. It rains a lot. He has a cat. She does exercise. He goes to the cinema on Friday night. And then he watches TV. The film finishes in a minute. The weather changes a lot, okay? Then you have to listen the sentences and change them, okay? For example, I live in a flat. You have to use the subject she. So you are going to say she lives in a flat, okay? Activity D and E, we are going to do when I call you, okay? Then in the reading part, you have to read this text in the next page, and you have to say in which photo you can see what is here in the list, okay? You have photos that are numbered here, okay? So write the number here, the number of the photo, okay? Then you're going to read again the article, and you have to say if the sentences are true or false, okay? If the sentence is false, you have to correct that, okay? And then in activity C, you have to underline the verbs in the text, okay? These verbs, and you have to say what do they mean, okay? You have to say what they mean. Then activity D will be done when I call you, okay? And then I added a writing part. In the writing part, you have to write an article about things you love about Corrientes, okay? Something very similar to this, but talking about Corrientes. So what you have to do is to write between around 150 or 200 words. You can use these same topics, or you can add some others, or elicit some of these topics, okay? So that is all for today, and remember, any question you have, you can ask, okay? Bye bye.